Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Let me introduce myself, Isra Yunangsi, with the name 210421995. Okay, this time I will make a video resume article to fulfill the final semester exam for the risk and disaster management course with the lecture Mr. Iip Permana STMT. The resume of the article I choose is entailed article title What Drives Vulnerability, explaining the institutional context of flood disaster risk management in sub-Saharan Africa. Okay, the first thing I will discuss is one, define institutional vulnerability. Then Stefan Hochreiner describes institutional vulnerability as the existence and robustness of institutions to deal with natural disasters. According to Empar Tomakol, define the institutional vulnerability as the combination of the weakness and beauty in institutions that reduce the capacity to resist or withstand or cope or recover from the impact of a hazardous event. The second, pillars and drivers of institutional vulnerability in sub-Saharan Africa. Then Papato Makohle identify 4 pillars of the institutional vulnerability. The first, socio-cultural pillar. Second, socio-political pillar. Third, legislative regulatory pillar. And last, fiscal economic. Okay, let's get into the part cultural to socio-cultural. The socio-cultural pillars include formal and informal roles. The drivers of these pillars are participation refers to local people's participation in interpersonality. Decision-making is central to increasing society's resilience to flood risk. Participants in Ghana can be characterized by 2 factors. The first, tension between formal versus informal, and the second, tension between the voiceless and recognized voice. In the Ghana, in context, the formal is usually characterized by structures, confrontation, and roles associated with government institutions, education, and others. In contrast, the informal is usually labeled as custom, tradition, and unwritten laws that include informal process that run parallel to formally regulated process. Then corruption refers to how local communities perceive the threat of natural hazards. Recognizing this aspect, informing communities, policymakers can build more context-appropriate intervention that match community concern and priorities and help reduce vulnerability. In the case of Ghana, the river risk prevention is represented be two interconnected factors, so education or income and resilience to flood risk. Low income population tend to have low levels of education, and interview analysis link this factor to low levels of risk awareness or risk control. The priority of securing one's livelihood, especially in marginalized communities, may come at the expense of increasing personal risk. Interview stakeholders explained flood risk contingency as an unavoidable need to take visible risks even though they are aware of the possible consequences. Then traditional and local knowledge refers to the practice of custom and belief particular to a society. The use and practice of such knowledge enhance local community preparedness and mitigation for emergency. Local practice in Ghana in disaster analysis faced several hurdles. One hurdle is the dependency between the National Disaster Management Organization atau NEDMU and its collaborating agencies, which depends on the type and state of disaster. This results in different priorities in local community engagement, dependency on the sector involved, such as the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, or the Ministry of Food and Agriculture. Okay, let's get into the part B, socio-political pillars refers to a society political status relating to accountability, democracy, transparency, and political stability. Accountability is considered synonymous with the sharing of risks and responsibilities among actors, stakeholders, and citizens. Democracy in flood disaster risk management fosters the open flow of information and robust communication network. Transparency refers to honestly and openness in making information accessible to all stakeholders. Political stability guarantees the proper functioning of institutions in flood disaster emergency. Important socio-political drivers in flood disaster risk management or FDRM are accountability, democracy, transparency, and political stability. Accountability ensures that responsible institutions and actors are accountable for the action and decision in managing flood hazards. Democracy and political stability are also important as they reflect the capacity of the state-run disaster management organization. The level of democracy and political stability relate to the vulnerability of state institutions. Transparency is also important as corruption emerges as the most important factor driving institutional vulnerability. Corruption impedes access to a public service and misuses financial resources that could otherwise be invested in flood protection. Then the first thing, then let's get into the part. Uh, Legislative and regulatory. The legislative regulatory pillar encompasses law and regulation that pertain to FDRM atau Flood Disaster Risk Management, and can contribute significantly to disaster risk reduction, especially influencing the capacity of the built environment and the society to withstand the impact of flood hazard. The drivers have included land use planning, building codes, environment, in, environmental legislation, and insurance. Land two, land use planning refers to the optimal use of land resources to achieve sustainable balance growth. Land use is gonna face several problems, including land disputes, land use that is consistent with physical plan, and conflicts between traditional and state land use objectives. In practice, probability development is often undertaken without consideration of official plans, leading to encouraged hazard zones, social and legal issues surrounding land rights, tenure, and land use have either of challenged the smooth implementation of land use policy in Ghana. Then building regulation are critical to ensure that building can withstand flood occurrences. Building codes are a strong regulation instrument for FDRM. The Ghana Building Code is relatively new, introduced in 2018. The Ghana Building Code includes a variety of building incorporation-related topics, including plumbing, electrical, structural design, and free safety, all equally critical in the event of flood hazard. Then environmental legislation refers to regulation related to deforestation, air pollution, land degradation. This river influence the exposure and vulnerability of communities and natural resources. Environmental legislation, the need for consolidation of environmental legislation in the form of collaboration and policy integration with other sector legislation, regulation, and policies would highlight the money stakeholders, forestry, communication, and other agents. The document analysis show several law and regulation exist in Ghana in relation to conservation and land cover protection. The insurance refers to mechanisms that offer protection against damage and economic losses caused by flood, facilitating recovery and resilience. Full inclusion and flood insurance in Ghana is still low due to low public awareness of the issue. In addition to its benefit and affordability, there is no explicit legislation on flood insurance of record means private-public partnership on the issue. There is campaign Be Insurance Awareness Ghana, which educates property owners to purchase cover to ensure against flood loss. Okay, let's get into the part D, fiscal economic driver. Then household budget accounting partly for the low public perception and low acceptance of FDRM policy. In Ghana and Mali SSE context, the household budget is a key component of managing flood risk. Poverty risk restrict a household's ability to mitigate of afford flood loss. This results in innovative strategies to reduce of afford flood damage, increasing the discoverability of the household to flooding effect. Then this net national budget. For statutory reduction are rarely another, reflecting either the incumbent government priorities in other sectors of the low financial status of the country. Budget toward FDRN are far from extensive. Usually, government budgets in the country are more focused on improving public infrastructure such as roads and hospitals. According to some interviewers, the public budget allocation hinders some of the DRR activities. Yes. And last, risk transfer mechanisms are characteristic below private sector involvement in the RR. Jurisprudence suggests that similar to increases the business case for private sector participation in FDRM in Ghana has not yet been established in more rural settings. There is even less private sector involvement. The responsibility to mitigate vulnerability has fallen on non-profit. Okay, the first thing I will discuss number 3, the class and segment of formal and informal institutional drivers. The one institutional drivers that can be related to the formal institutional system, the democratic and bureaucratic process of FDRM. This formal mandate of governmental agencies for flood prevention, mitigation, and preparedness that are accountable within the legislative and regulatory system of FDRM. The two formal planning systems that regulated building activities in flood-prone areas and struggles with implementation lacks enforcement gaps. 3. Informal institutional system, which is either closely integrated with the formal institutional system or closest informal system is the first. Traditional sovereignty and leadership activities with distinct roles in land use and tenure system in Ghana. 4. Informal institutions relate to the extensive informal housing activities. Informal housing in low-income areas to unauthorized building activities in mid to high-income areas. Okay, number 4, behavioral pitfalls and the normalized culture of impunity. Research in Ghana showed that incentive corruption is difficult to tackle and formal corruption control mechanisms prove ineffective normalized culture of immunity is a major hurdle, mainly because officials responsible for implementing formal rules are often placed outside the law. As a result, they are unable to hold rules breakers accountable, resulting in misuse of the law and problems such as indiscriminate waste disposal. Wetland encouragement and corruption in FDRM implementation will community institution and normalizes action have the potential to drive collective community success. The existing culture of immunity hinders development. Okay, last number 5, defeats unnecessary resource and risk transfer mechanisms. The trend toward insufficient financial resources for sub-Saharan Africa countries often result in risk transfer mechanisms such as insurance not being successful. This is related to low insurance penetration among the public, affordability of premiums, and insufficient data for risk assessment. Limited government funding often led to inadequate infrastructure investment in FDRM, such as drainage system, bridges, and embankment. This lack of funding substantially impacts FDRM in the context of sub-Saharan Africa, mainly due to a lack of accountability, transparency, and a culture of impunity relating to socio-cultural and socio-political factors. Okay, thank you. Hmm, Sekian, terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.